In today's video, I'm going to reveal to you the 11 types of women to avoid absolutely if you want to preserve your peace of mind and avoid future problems. Recognizing these types of women can make the difference between a peaceful relationship and a life filled with stress and regret. Believe me, some of these types are more common than you think. And if you don't learn to detect the signs now, you could find yourself trapped in an emotional pit that will be difficult to get out of. This can have serious consequences on your personal life and even on your self-esteem. I warn you that number 1 is the most unusual and, in my opinion, the worst of all. This could change the way you perceive certain behaviors. Unfortunately, most men don't even notice it. So, don't miss any details and stay until the end. Because in addition to identifying these types of women, I'm also going to show the 3 attitudes you must avoid at all costs. These attitudes can make you seem like someone who is totally manipulable, which you certainly do not want to be. Here is the crucial point. Imagine discovering at the end of this video a common behavior in your wife that you may not know about right now, but that if you do not act quickly, could ruin your life forever. You have probably seen these unhappy relationships where the man seems trapped, suffocated by constant arguments, mistrust, and manipulation, not knowing how to free himself. Imagine that without realizing it, you are heading straight towards this scenario right now, ignoring the signs that could be right before your eyes. And even worse, if you do not act now, you could end up living a life full of regret, stuck in a relationship that takes away your peace of mind and erodes your self-esteem day after day. But before you fall into this trap, I will reveal what's really at stake. These 11 types of women, from the first to the last, are the ones you should avoid at all costs. And numbers 10, 7, 4, and 1 in particular could be the most devastating of all. If you don't know how to handle them, your life could change in the blink of an eye. You want to know how to protect your heart and your mental health? Then stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to share could mean the difference between living a life of freedom or being stuck in a never-ending cycle of pain and regret. But before we begin, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the like button and turn on notifications. Now, let's get started. Neglect in a woman is a warning sign because it reflects a lack of responsibility and foresight. Negligent women tend to act recklessly and impulsively without considering the consequences of their actions on those around them. This selfish and careless attitude often prevents them from perceiving the emotional and practical needs of others, which can lead to conflicts and misunderstandings. Their tendency to ignore the effects of their choices can make trust difficult because their actions, often disorganized and ill thought out, can cause damage on a personal and professional level. Moreover, negligence is often associated with a lack of maturity and empathy. A person who does not take the time to think before acting puts not only their own relationships in danger, but also compromises the stability of others. Such an attitude, focused on their own immediate desires, shows a lack of consideration for those around them, making it difficult to respect her. Giving one's trust to a negligent woman is accepting a potential for chaos and frustration, because her often uncontrolled behavior can harm, in the long term, the quality of interpersonal relationships. Deception is a deeply destructive trait, especially when it comes to trust relationships. A deceptive woman compromises the very foundations on which human relationships are built, namely honesty and transparency. She can manipulate facts, conceal her true intentions, or even break agreements and promises to serve her own interest. By doing so, she can lead you into delicate situations, whether on an emotional, financial, or professional level. Deception creates an environment of uncertainty, where it becomes difficult to trust her words or actions because she is constantly looking for personal benefits to the detriment of others. Placing your trust in a deceptive person is to expose yourself to constant instability. By breaking moral commitments and betraying the trust granted, it introduces a dynamic of mistrust and disillusionment in relationships. Not only does it undermine the foundations of loyalty, but it also risks causing irreparable damage to the emotional or professional bond. Cheating women often act with moral carelessness, exploiting others to gain temporary advantages, while leaving behind a trail of disappointment. It is therefore imperative to remain vigilant about their behavior to avoid becoming a victim of their deceit. Manipulation and dishonesty. A conflictual woman is often the source of constant tension because of her penchant for confrontations and arguments. Her argumentative nature can transform the slightest disagreements into real clashes, which generates an unstable and stressful environment. Whether it is a question of small differences or more serious subjects, she tends to fuel conflicts rather than seeking peaceful solutions. This attitude can emotionally exhaust those around her because it becomes difficult to maintain a balanced relationship with a person who is attached to finding reasons to argue. Frequent outbursts of anger and provocations can even discourage those who try to maintain harmonious relationships with her. Trusting a conflictual woman can be particularly risky because her constant need for confrontation undermines peace and harmony in any relationship. Her inability to manage disagreements constructively ends up wearing down the patience and energy of those around her, making any collaboration or interaction lastingly stressful. Moreover, this type of behavior creates a climate of mistrust where each disagreement is perceived as a potential threat. It is therefore essential to be vigilant and recognize this trait to avoid getting trapped in a toxic and The tiring emotional cycle of defamation is a particularly toxic behavior. A defamatory woman uses lies and slander to destroy the reputation of others. Whether it is motivated by jealousy, resentment, or a simple desire to harm, she uses the manipulation of facts and the spreading of false information to achieve her goals. By creating harmful stories, often unfounded, she sows doubt and confusion around her victims, which can have serious consequences on their personal and professional lives. Trusting a person with such practices can not only expose you to mistrust, but also pose a real risk of seeing your own image tarnished by these acts. Wrongly giving your trust to a defamatory woman can also risk your emotional integrity. By feeding false stories, she tries to create divisions and destabilize those around her. Her ability to manipulate the perception of others, often for her own benefit, shows a profound lack of empathy and consideration for the consequences of these acts. In addition, defamation has a lasting effect because even after the truth is re-established, the damage to your reputation can persist. So, it is crucial to protect yourself against this type of destructive behavior and to remain vigilant against those who seek to use lies as a weapon. Socially, an irresponsible woman represents a clear risk to trust in any relationship. Her lack of commitment and her difficulty in taking responsibility for her failures are clear signs that she cannot be trusted without risking bad consequences. Neglecting to offer help, not keeping promises, and refusing to face the consequences of one's own mistakes are characteristics that indicate instability and danger. Moreover, irresponsibility often reflects a lack of maturity and self-control. Individuals who do not take responsibility tend to blame others for their own mistakes, creating a climate of distrust. Being surrounded by a woman who is constantly pessimistic, often critical, constantly complaining, or adopting a defeatist mentality means being close to someone with negative energy. These people tend to find problems in every solution, which makes it difficult to build healthy and productive relationships. Persistent pessimists emit heavy energy and can create a toxic environment where pessimism and discouragement become contagious. Trusting someone who constantly focuses on the negative can affect your own state of mind and emotional well-being. Hypocritical and deceitful women are like social chameleons, changing their appearance according to what suits them. When she turns her back on you in public, she demonstrates their falsehood and betrayal, showing interest only to benefit from the relationship when it is useful to them. This behavior suggests a deep lack of integrity, indicating that the trust placed in her is fragile and depends on the circumstances. If someone behaves so, it is wise to keep a distance. To avoid future disappointments and headaches, cruel women are like social chameleons, changing their appearance according to their interests. When they move away from you in public, they show their falsehood and betrayal, only interested in their own benefit when it suits them. This behavior demonstrates a deep lack of integrity, indicating that the trust placed in her is unstable and subject to circumstances. If someone acts like this, it is wise to keep a distance of safety to avoid disappointments. When your intuition gives you a warning signal, it is crucial to pay attention to this natural alert of protection. Women you cannot trust often cause a feeling of discomfort when you are in their presence. This feeling can manifest itself as unexplained tiredness, exhaustion, or even a worrying malaise that you cannot fully understand. Our bodies and minds have the ability to detect signals that we often ignore. Just as we feel negative effects when we consume something harmful, being around untrustworthy people can generate that strange feeling that something is off. Warnings from your friends and family about a woman should be taken seriously because they are often based on external and objective observations. Those close to you have a perspective that is valuable and can spot signs of harmful behavior that you might not notice because of your proximity to the person in question. When concerns are raised, whether it be about problematic past relationships or questionable behavior, this can indicate a pattern of conduct that could affect you in the long term. Ignoring these warnings could put you at emotional or relationship risk, as those around you are usually looking to protect you from toxic situations. Often, an untrustworthy person will try to minimize the problems of their past relationships, blaming existing partners or denying any responsibility. This type of manipulation is another red flag, as it reflects an inability to recognize one's own mistakes and improve. This behavior of projecting and denigrating others is intended to distract you from the reality of these past relationships, which can indicate similar problems to come. It is essential to listen carefully to outside opinions and take into account these signs before placing your full trust in someone who could harm you. Trust is essential in any relationship, but dealing with women who lose control when they drink can jeopardize that trust. Women who become out of control under the influence of alcohol often display irresponsible, unpredictable, and even dangerous behavior. They may become aggressive, say or do things they later regret, and endanger their own safety and that of others with impulsive actions. Alcohol can lower inhibitions, leading them to share private information about themselves or others or to act impulsively and riskily. Therefore, it is crucial to stay alert to these signs. Now let's look at the 3 attitudes you should avoid, because they can make you a manipulable person. 1. Fear of saying no. People who have a persistent fear of saying no often find themselves overwhelmed by unnecessary responsibilities, which leads to the devaluation of their time and energy. 2. Being too accommodating. Adopting an excessively complacent and accommodating attitude can be problematic because this attitude paradoxically undermines the respect that others have for us. 3. Lack of assertiveness. Refraining from expressing one's opinions and personal values to avoid conflict, or through the inability to know when to walk away, seriously compromises emotional health and well-being. Persisting in harmful environments, whether through a false sense of obligation or fear of change, can lead to continued disrespect and cause significant damage. Recognizing when it's time to walk away is not a sign of weakness but rather of wisdom. Trust is a treasure, precious. And it is our responsibility to protect it by carefully choosing who we trust. It is not enough to observe superficially. It is crucial to understand the true nature of those who sincerely deserve our trust and those who are willing to betray it. I sincerely hope that this message was useful to you. I want to warmly congratulate you for having watched this video to the end. It means that you want to improve yourself as a person. If you liked the video, leave your comment. If you don't know what to comment, write, "I will be careful," so that I know that you have gone to the end. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us. Thank you for your attention, and until next time, Intimacy Unlocked.